Hi, my name is Bill Banks-Jones. I'm Artistic Director of Tete, a company that is looking at the future of opera and often surprising our audiences with what opera can be. It's been a huge pleasure over the last 6 years to work with King's Cross, programming different shows in the streets each year. Sadly, we're not in the streets, we've gone online. I think we'll see now some really interesting ways to tackle that challenge. We're going to look at Earth Makes No Sound, which Filament Theatre first performed at Tete, the Opera Festival in 2018. I'm very happy to bring it back to Qubit Sessions. The director, Sabina Netherclift, and composer, MD performer Osnat Shmuel will join us later to talk about how they rose to the challenge of delivering this performance in the COVID situation. There's rather a lot of other people involved too, as you'll see now. Let's watch Feather Game, first of 3 films.
Dripping, floating in the troposphere, wind and water weather is made here. Gliding high as slipstream drift away, lifting through the lower atmosphere. Dripping, floating in the troposphere, wind and water weather is made here. Gliding high as slipstream drift away, lifting through the floating in the troposphere, wind and water weather is made here. Gliding high as slipstream drift away, lifting through the lower atmosphere. Gliding high inside the stratosphere, gliding is rising ultraviolet shield, heat increasing, ozone disappears, dancing through the middle atmosphere. Gliding high to the stratosphere, it's rising ultraviolet shield, heat increasing, ozone disappears, dancing through the middle atmosphere. Lifting, floating, gliding, flying, lifting, floating, gliding, flying, shooting stars, raise the light, meteors just inside, shooting stars, raise the light, meteors just inside.
Now we welcome Osnat and Sabina. First question for you is, how did this change when you had to move onto the digital platform?
The first thing was we had never had any experience of using film before, so we had to quickly understand what the technology meant in terms of A, singing, and B, how we present the films that we made.
Through Zoom sessions, through meeting everyone together and working on rehearsing material together to build people up to a place where they were confident to film and record themselves independently and send us the footage so that we could then do something we'd never done before as makers of live performance, which is edit audio and video. Quite a new adventure.
Yes, the live show that we were going to perform has a really big cast. You must tell us how many in a minute. And a thrill of it was the connection between everybody. It's really interesting to try and understand whether you managed to maintain that sense of community. I suspect you did, and how you did so.
It usually has 35 to 40 people actually performing live. And I think we've probably got about 20, possibly 25 people within the digital versions.
Singing together, even in Zoom, which is basically, when you strip it right back, to be successful is me singing and people singing along with me. That activity is such a massive part of our well-being. Of course, not the same as being in a room and hearing everyone's voice and moving together with an understanding of how we make staging happen and movement, but it's still an element of what brought us together in the first place.
We were still very much thinking about the kind of things that we did when we were in the live performance situation of just playing the game with the feather and trying to keep it up. So we were playing with that idea throughout the film of the singers being able to sing, but anytime they had space, they could still play this game of keeping the feather up. And we were still thinking, how can we translate what happened in the live performance space and make it work on film? And actually, we realised beyond this that there was a different way to approach the making of these films.
In Earth Makes No Sound, there's a slightly altered response that hopefully still brings what I loved from the very first get-go of people sending me their films and of them singing. It was so intimate and so moving and very, very personal. And I thought, well, that's their connection to the music, and that's their connection that they would ordinarily have had with an audience. I know those performers pretty well. And I know that that's the spirit that they bring to their live performance, and here were these individual gifts. And I thought, I can't shy away from the fact of how moving I find that. Let's express that in a way that is just somehow thinking better about the medium that we have.
Something I think I've been trying to do through the whole of Tete the Opera Festival. I'm very grateful to Qubit Sessions for helping us with these projects. And it is that we're all freelance artists. We've taken absolute battering. Our incomes all over the place. Our lives are turned totally upside down. But also, this is who we are. And we have to hang on to it. And we have to carry on speaking and hope that we are heard. And so we should be very grateful to Qubit Sessions for giving us the chance. Maybe this is the good moment to watch Earth Makes No Sound.
Guiding.
So I can see that you've had to really change this from the stage version. Perhaps you can tell us a little bit about what you had to do, how you managed that.
Well, essentially, this is a remake, actually, a remake in response to having better assistance and more knowledge from making Feather Game. First version was specifically made for Earth Day in April, with an opportunity to reflect on what was really going on in the live performance and how we could translate that to this filmic idea. We really thought this would work, and actually it better represents for me how the live version felt, even though of course there's people lying on floors and on grass and beaches, and that's never going to happen on a stage, but the feeling of being grounded, of being earthbound, of your whole body being flat, that you're somehow connected with the world that way, was much more how I thought of the music when we first made it.
The other thing about the films is that it's not just the earth that's there, but you can probably see that some people are filming on windier days, so you see them being affected by the other elements. So there's a feeling that they're, it's, even though they're singing about the earth, everything is around them, all the elements, the potential of the elements is there, which I think looks wonderful.
Well, I mean, there's a very obvious thing about the core of the piece, which is a message about the environment, really, and how lockdown was a kind of sabbatical for the environment, and how we could all feel the world starting to breathe, and those clear blue skies without airplane trails and fresh air that made us feel better. It's right in the middle of the piece, isn't it?
Definitely. As people have sung it again, they've had that. They've definitely connected with that.
What is your intention with the work from here forward? Are you interested in pursuing it in a digital way or return to analog, a mixture of both? How has this affected what you've done?
I think that is a really good question. And I think we are going to continue because, well, firstly, practically, if we don't, we won't be singing with anybody, it feels like. We won't be seeing anybody and meeting anybody to sing. This is a way that we can make it happen and that we can create work, which is still what we need to do as creatives, is make things. So we definitely we're going to give our singers and ourselves a bit of a summer break, and then we're meeting again in the autumn. And we're going to, I think Osnat's going to write some new music. So we're going to actually be exploring together online new pieces of music, which will be interesting because we won't be trying to translate anything or interpret anything from a different form. We'll be making something completely new for this format.
Thanks for joining us today, and thank you for all your hard work in making Earth Makes No Sound happen. Thank you to Qubit Sessions and Martin and everybody who's helped you with the video, and every single one of your amazing performers. We'll wind up with your final film, Plastic Tide, and we hope to see the thing in real life as well before too long.
floating from the middle to the top. Tell me, when will you stop? And even when I'm gone, I still remain. And never disappear, and never go away. 200 years, 400 years, 500 years, 1,000 years. I float from the middle to the top, the middle to the top. So set me down forever suspended. Float bottom up, slipping down, falling in, sinking deeper within. And even when I'm gone, I still remain. I'll never disappear, I'm never gone.
Gliding high, a slipstream drift away, lifting through the lower atmosphere.